Peace, Supreme Understanding, hustleandwin.com, supremedesignonline.com. Today I'd like to talk about being a father to your child. Just being a parent, period, man. So ladies, this is good for you too. It's good for everybody. And I'm gonna say why. I originally tried to record this video when I was out in Minneapolis, so that y'all could at least have one video of me not driving around. But as I always say, I'm usually in the middle of doing something, and the only time that I get a free moment to do a video is when I'm in transit. So, gotta deal with what you can get. Sorry, it's no real dramatic production value, and you know what I mean? Ain't nothing popping off right now, but I'll get to that. When we do the How to Hustle and Win DVD, we'll do that. And we might do some of that this summer, but not right now. Still grind time right now. It's gonna be grind time then too, but let's get into the topic. I've been doing some research on parenting, and all the studies that I've been coming across say that there's really no difference in the outcomes of children, particularly black male children, growing up in single-parent households, single mothers, or in two-parent households. You know what I mean? When you isolate the other factors, it's the same. So we had this whole thing where it's like, nah, we need the daddies in the home. That's going to solve all the problems. But what these studies are saying, and I'm talking about, I could quote them all day long. Y'all know I do research. I'm not playing. I'm not just talking shit. But I like to keep things simple. Somebody want to get at me. Y'all know the channels to get at me. Y'all want the information. Y'all want to dig through some qualitative and quantitative research. Get at me. We can do that. But basically, these studies are saying that, black males growing up in two-parent households, for the most part, be the same risk factors, be the same things happening. And those of you that work with youth, you've seen, similar things, and you'd be like, what? I didn't think there was no daddy in the home there, but there was, and it's still the same shit. So the question this leads me to is it enough to just be in the home? Like, is it enough to just be married to your woman and just, it's a two-parent household? Is that enough by itself? See, the question is by itself. And the conclusion that I'm coming to is that it's not. It's not enough to just be a daddy that lives there. Because, any woman to tell you, any married woman to tell you that, if, somebody is struggling, that you could feel like you're a single mother and you married. And you live with your man. And still feel like you're a single parent. So let me get into that, because the reason I was going to record this video when I was in Minneapolis is because I missed my first flight that morning, and it was important that I caught that flight because I wanted to be there for Nalani, my daughter's first birthday. Now, in my family, we don't really celebrate birthdays like that. I don't do nothing for my born days, for my physical degree days, whatever you want to call them. I celebrate accomplishments, not revolutionists around the sun, because I didn't have to do nothing to make that happen. I'm just here. If you sit around eating Doritos for a year straight, you don't deserve to celebrate. So, not for me, but really just for the sake of the whole sentimental value of being there for when my daughter turned 1. And here I am, I'm presenting this conference in Wisconsin, the White Privilege Conference. You might want to Google it, you know what I mean? I had some dope presentations on environmental racism and, things like that. But I was about to miss my daughter's birthday, and I was pissed. I actually had to try to change my flight so that I could get an earlier flight so I could spend more time there, and I couldn't make that flight for a number of reasons. Not because I'm just oversleeping, but because hotels and it's a long story, man. My life is like a movie sometimes. Too bad we don't get to see that. Too bad I don't get to record those moments. Anyway, what's this motherfucker doing behind me? Anyway, and I looked at myself and I was like, yo, here I am trying to save the world, trying to do all this, trying to, because I was striving to make some things happen in Minneapolis, even though the conference is in Wisconsin. I was striving to do a lot. And I'm like, but I'm about to miss my daughter's birthday. And so I was pissed because I missed one flight, then the next flight was full, then the next flight was full. I couldn't get on to like one of the last flights until it was like my flight was at 6 something, and I just paid like the, what was it, like the $50 to get on like the 5 o'clock something flight just so I could be there an hour earlier. Just so I could spend like 1 more hour with my daughter, who was fucking asleep anyway, but you know, at least I was there, you know, and I was there when she woke up. But I'm saying all that to say this, man. Be there for your children. You know, I gotta tell this to the young hustlers just like I gotta tell it to people that's trying to make it in the business world. Your child just wants you there. That's what they want. Now, not just you like physically there like a lump on a log, like sitting in front of the TV on the couch, like, nah, not there like that, but like in their life. Doing things with them, listening to their stories, talking to them, asking them how was their day, asking them how, you know, like who they don't like at the school, which teachers is annoying, like them type of conversations. Oh, this is how you navigate through life, especially for the boys, man. It ain't enough to just be, cause you know, even with single parent households, man, like one thing the studies and we know from experience is that even if you grew up in a single parent household, you're still surrounded by men. You know what I mean? You got your uncles, you got cousins, you got men like in the neighborhood. You're exposed to enough men. The question is, which one of those men is going to be a role model? See, that's one thing that the studies do show has a significant effect. Who's a role model? You could have a father in the home and not have a role model. Like I had, you know, peace be upon him, but my father was not a role model to me, you know, and he lived in the home with me the whole time, the whole 16 years that I lived at home in Jersey, you know, but I didn't have guidance from him. You know, I found my role models in other people. So that's one thing that I'm striving to avoid, man. I do a lot, you know what I mean? But one thing I don't want to do is do so much that I don't have time for my children or time for my queen, my wife. And that's something that a lot of us do, man. You got these young brothers, and they do care, you know what I mean? They may not know how to successfully navigate a relationship or, you know what I mean, even successfully navigate mainstream middle class America, you know? Because that's not easy, especially when you haven't been provided no training. But, you know, when you talk to them, it's like, yo, they just want to do right for their kids. They may not be able to get along with their baby mama, but they do want to do right for their kids. They just may not have figured out how. See, if you really study the societal factors that led to the breakdown of the black family, you'll understand that it wasn't just a bunch of men that just decided to up and leave their families. There's some socioeconomic things that happened, man. All this started happening, see, in the 1960s, let me hit y'all with some statistics. In the 1960s, only like 1/4 or less than 1/4 of all black families were single parent households, right? In the 1960s, all the factories started pulling out of urban communities. They just started shutting down. They just said, we're not doing no more business here, right? And you know, that's why you got places like Flint, Michigan, and other towns like in North Carolina where it's like, it's just ghost towns now because the factories is gone. It's happening in Atlanta too. And it's at the point where black men stop being able to provide for their families. They just started becoming absent from the home because that's how black men conceptualize their role in the family as a provider, right? Even though by comparison, black men